Hey, how's it going, Michael?
Doing good, Matt. It's
Good.
always good to see you, brother.
Awesome, awesome. Well, happy Friday. So glad that you're able to join. I really wanted to, take this time to deliver some high impactful content, especially for real estate agents right now who are stuck at home, shelter in place,
Yeah.
and they're trying to figure out what they're doing. And obviously, I've been playing around with a lot of social media, so I think I have some say in what's happening.
You
But
know what you're
also,
doing. You know what you're
well,
doing.
yeah, well, thank you. And I also wanted to get your input in regards to creating content, because at the end of the day, it's all about creating content on social media and to be present.
Yeah.
And I think for real estate agents, I think the main thing is we all come from the same school, and so we're so used to, when we have a just list or just sold, we do the same, activities with the same flyers, the same posters. That's because like I said, we come from the same school, and that's all we know of, right? And
Yeah.
so now with this whole shelter in place, we can't do most of those activities. So now we have to kind of be creative, and now that takes us out of our game plan. So
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you so much for being here. So
You
cool,
bet. I'm excited.
cool.
I'm excited to learn from you too, because I know you do some stuff on Google, which I need help with. So
Yeah.
it's perfect timing.
Cool, cool. So I want to kind of focus on a couple of things: Facebook, Google, and also LinkedIn. Obviously, not that much on LinkedIn, but I want to kind of focus on what I have learned in the few months that I have really dived into the social media. What I really think that's going to happen in the next 3 to maybe 5 years, I might even be sooner than that. I really think that websites for real estate agents will die, and it'll be the thing of the past. I remember when we first started real estate, the first thing that you had to do was create a website, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you had to create a website, and you had to create content in the website. You had to create videos, and then you had to create blogs. In addition to that, and then things changed because we had multi-platforms, right? So you first people were on desktop, then people were not on desktop anymore. They were on mobile, and then
Yeah.
they were on iPad. So now you had to find a website that you could easily display those on all three different types of platforms. And obviously, with all that, there was additional cost, additional training, additional time. But we had that website set up for real estate agents for a very long time. So a lot of us just kind of got used to doing it. The thing with websites and things that I don't like about website is you constantly, there's only two ways of doing things with a website, right? Number one, you have to create it, and then number two, you have to find a way for people to search for you, right?
Yes.
And so it has to be organic or paid. Those are the only two ways of doing it, right? And so if you did it organically, what did you have to do? You constantly had to go on there and constantly do blogs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Create content, and you have to do the hyperlinks, and then you have to put pictures in. You have to do all that
A
just
lot
to
of
have
work.
a lot of that, right? Just for it to be organic. Well, if you wanted to do Google Ads, then you would have to pay, right?
Yes.
And so at the end, you have to kind of make a choice on which avenue you want to go. I've seen a lot of agents that built really strong websites and didn't pay a dime, and they were successful. But again, those are the agents that actually took the time to write those blogs, create those content, and I have to say, not everyone can do that. So,
Majority
you
don't do
know,
that. Majority
exactly.
don't do that.
And majority don't do that now. But with that being said, I think the next 3 to 5 years is going to be very critical for us as real estate agents. We have to kind of wake up and smell the coffee. Our website is no longer going to be something that we use, and a lot of key indicator comes from not just the shelter at place, because now people are forced to be on Facebook, but they also look at technology and cheap technology and the enterprises that are out there. So what I mean by that is, um, at one time as real estate agents, we would have to hire a professional editor, or I'm sorry, not an editor, or someone that did videos, right? And with that costs a lot of money, right? But now we have tools like Canva.com, and
Yeah.
Canva.com, every real estate agent is using it. It's like $10 a month, and you can create so many different templates. You can create so many platforms, not just for Facebook, but for LinkedIn, for flyers, for business cards, you
Yeah.
name it. It's all there. And so
Yeah.
now you don't have to pay that person that money anymore. You could just physically do it yourself, and it gives you all the ideas and the tools. So you could easily go in there and just, like if you say you want to do a happy birthday post, you can easily create that within the first 1 or 2 minutes. So it'd be very
Mhm.
easy. So that's one, right?
Yep.
The other things that are coming into play too as well is look at technology in a sense where, when we first came out with Alexa, it was $99, right? And then all of a sudden, Google comes out and they were $99.
Yeah.
And now they're $39, right?
Yeah.
And Facebook came out with the same thing too with a Facebook Hub, and it was originally 199, and now it's 99, right? And so you
Mhm.
can see kind of like the price dropping for all these equipment, and you see these articles on, everywhere you go, they're writing articles about the AI for Amazon, the
Yeah.
AI for
Yeah.
Google, and these companies are admitting that it actually costs more to make the speaker, right, than what they're selling it.
Yeah.
But why are they selling for $39? See that so when you kind of think of that, you already know where they're gonna go. So
Yeah.
if you know where they're gonna go, then you need to be proactive and kind of take the steps to protect yourself in case, you don't want to be the last one in the game, right? And
Absolutely.
so social
Absolutely.
media, cheap technology, those are just examples of what has happened right now and what is going to change. So let's go ahead and start up with Facebook. I'm going to share with you my screen because I'm going to share with
Right.
you what I'm doing on Facebook, so people can kind of see. So here you go. This is a picture of my Facebook, and this is my business page. And what I really think, the heavy hitters for the social media would be Facebook, Google My Business, and LinkedIn. Facebook, because it's the easiest interface you could have. People love to share, people love to comment, and people love to post. It's so easy that even your grandma could be used. So I think Facebook at the end of SIP will probably be the most used platform there is, right? And so we need to focus on Facebook now as our number one priority. The
Agree.
second one is I really think is important is LinkedIn. I'll let you discover about LinkedIn because you know more about LinkedIn than I do. But a lot of these people are at home because they're not working. And when this event is over, they're going to have to look for a job. And so, where are they going to look for a job? Obviously, they're going to go on LinkedIn to look for a job. So
Exactly.
that is the reason why you need to be on LinkedIn. And the
Look,
third one is really Google My Business. Because Google is the number one search engine in the entire world, and they have a great platform. It's just not user friendly, so people don't want to use it. But let's go ahead and go on Facebook. I'm going to show you my screen in regards to what I'm doing on my Facebook page. Obviously, this is the home button. One of the things that you want to be really working on when you're building your Facebook page is number one is to get the likes and to get the followers, right? It doesn't matter if they're your friends or you're not your friends.
yeah.
You want to get the followers in so they could see your posts.
Right.
uh, but one of the things, let's actually go back from the Facebook business, but let's go in your Facebook personal. Let's take a step back.
Yeah.
So Facebook algorithm is really changed in the sense that we don't see all friends, right? So if you have 1,000 friends on your list, you're probably going to see maybe 100, maybe 200. But what about the other 800 people on your friends list, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
never see them, right? And so the only way to start to see them is to change what Facebook thinks they know about you. So one of the activities that I did, I did this a couple of weeks ago, is I went into my personal business page and I'm sorry, my personal page, and I actually unliked every business.
Yeah.
I physically unliked every business because I looked at what I liked, and it was like 1,000 real estate agents,
Yeah.
right? And I don't, I have 1,000 real estate agents as friends,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
like them all,
Yeah.
right? And it's funny because my all my feeds were always real estate agents,
Yeah.
and then the other thing that I did too as well is I cleaned up my groups,
Yeah.
right? Unless it's a group that you wanted to be in where that information is going to be important for you, I would strongly recommend that you delete all the groups. And in fact, I actually deleted all mine because I really wanted my Facebook to be where I get to see a post, whether it's going to be a post of your child or a post of your
Relevancy.
family. Yeah. And then I want to be entertained. I want to have a conversation with people that do want to have a conversation with me, compared to, seeing all this stuff about groups and people sharing their political ideas. And I don't want that to be on my Facebook page. So when I did that, I started to see people that I've never seen before
Yeah.
on my page.
Right.
And
And
I
I'm
was
sure you reacted and engaged with those posts,
exactly,
right? Okay.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think the first thing is go into your page, unlike some of the business that you previously liked, and then clean up your groups page, and just delete any group that you don't want to be a part of. Um, so let's go back to
I want to add something to this. It's something that agents may not know. The reason, so you hit it on the sense that you're seeing a lot of content that's very similar because you like all these pages.
mhm,
So some savvy agents, what they do is they will promote things on your page and promote things that are connected to you in terms of your friends. So this is
correct,
a way for you to really tap into other people's network. So by you
correct,
liking something, you're really giving that agent or that business exposure to your friend list. So that's something that you want to be thoughtful when you're liking all these businesses. You are saying it's okay that you can advertise to me and my friends. So
exactly,
as a savvy agent, your goal is as owning a business page like what you have now is to get all your friends liking it and your
correct,
colleagues to like it so that you can tap into their network, right?
correct.
That's what I would call a really advanced look. But in terms
Yeah,
of strategically, that's how you want to use it. But for you not wanting to get bombarded with all that spam, yes, you want to unlike those pages. That's a great way for you to now see really relevant stuff. And you hit
mhm,
it that most people are doing what you're doing right now, actually, because they get spam so crazy. They're unliking a lot of stuff. This kind of reminds me of, that term that people use, like they have too much apps on their phone and they start
mhm,
deleting all these apps because it's not relevant. So
correct,
this is exactly what's happening now. The consumers are just getting bombarded with too much irrelevant information.
correct, correct. I agree. I agree. All right, so let's go back into the business page. So on the left-hand side, as you can see, I have a few tabs, right? The first one is home, service, events, reviews, about, videos, photos, posts, community, and fundraisers. These are very, very critical tabs that you really want to start making sure that all these things are filled in and you're proactive on these tabs, because these tabs are definitely going to help you. So the first one, let's just go into services, right? So adding services to your profile is going to be critical, right? And then not only is adding services, but also using, you know, um, explaining what those services are, right? A lot of agents just say, okay, I'm here to sell your house, but how are you going to sell my house? So like for myself, I put down the services I provide are, here are the listing services, and I go in detail in regards to what those services are. Then I talk about home improvement and I go in detail what those home improvements are. Then I talk about some additional services like open house party or twilight party. Again, I'm writing down exactly what I'm doing. Then I'm talking about cutting edge, top-notch marketing. Again, I'm explaining those marketing pieces that I deliver for my sellers. And then I talk about professional photography. Then I talk about all the other things too, as well as like interactive 3D models. I talked about maps. I talk about digital displays. I talk about all that stuff right here. And then again, I talk about staging as a service I provide, and I go really deep into those. So as an agent, those are all separate categories, but you have to put it there because some um, consumers may not want, all this, but they're searching for home improvements. So if you didn't tell Facebook that you offer these type of services, they would not know, right? And so you want to let people know that these are the services you provide. The other thing I want to be let you guys know is events. This is something that I haven't really done much of. So as you can see, the last one was done on October 3rd. So I feel really bad presenting this because, but this is very, very important that we need to be the community leader, right? And so it doesn't matter if it's an open house. It could be a church event. It could be an event that, at the park. It could be a concert. It could be all these things. The reason why creating events is going to be important is because, we as humans love to play with our phones when we have off time, right? So imagine if you're on an elevator going down and you're getting off from work, and you turn on Facebook and you look at your events around your area, what happens, right? If you're there in San Jose, and you know what I'm saying, right? My event's gonna pop up, even though it might not be my event. I'm not saying you have to have an open house, you know. Put events out there where you get to brand yourself and teach other people about the events. It could be a seminar, it could be a dog walk, it could be a charitable event. But these events need to happen on a regular basis. And so you get maximum exposure, especially when that client has that free time and they're looking at events that are happening.
That's a great strategy, Matt, because that for when I hear that, that to me, that's brand placement awareness right there.
Correct, correct.
That's great to do that.
Correct. And the thing is, if you're looking at, an ROI, obviously there's none, right? Because you're just basically creating brand,
Hmm.
and people are going to start to associate your brand as a community leader if you did it that way, if you play that card correctly.
Hmm.
Um, so that's a huge way. The next one is really, this is the perfect time to ask for reviews, right? The great thing about Facebook is it doesn't say that the reviews have to be where you're doing a transaction with me. It could be that you just had an experience with me, whether I was able to mentor you as an agent, or maybe I created some value for you. And if that's the case, then it's okay for you to write a review for me, because these reviews are so important. One of the things I've been doing on a quarterly basis is posting, and you see my post on Facebook. I'm
Yeah, go ahead.
always asking for reviews, right? Because that's part of my business. It's a business strategy for me, and so it's important, right? And so don't feel that you can't go on Facebook and ask for reviews for your business. You can and you should. It's highly recommended, because people want to know about who you are. You're not just a real estate agent. Maybe you're also a key leader in the community. You're doing other things. People need to know about that. So
Yes, and those type of reviews that is outside of real estate is important, so that
correct,
they know that if you're trying to be that local community leader, people outside of real estate giving you a review, it's a great testimonial to your authority.
correct. Another thing too, as well, I've actually had time to look at everyone's business page, and what I noticed from looking at their business page, I've always see that they only fill in the basic, right?
Right.
The thing with the about page, when a consumer is looking, I think the second thing that they're going to look at is the about page, because they want to know the facts about your business, right? And so
Sure.
whatever it is, you need to find out if there's an edit part in any of these sections. You want to make sure that you fill out as much as possible.
Mhm.
You don't leave that blank, and always create a story for your business. Don't just, again, I've seen too many real estate agents that just leave this blank, and they're not focusing on developing the page. So
100%.
that's, yeah, that's something that agents really need to kind of pick up on too as well.
And the thing is, they do it once, so you spend the time now, because a lot of agents do have more time now because they're stuck
Yeah,
at home. Do it now, because once it's done, you don't need to think about it again. It's not
correct,
something you change every day.
correct. And one of the things I want to say about Facebook too as well is that I'm a firm believer that, in Facebook, you only want to advertise if you have a marketing strategy behind it. Some people are so eager to do advertising because they want the business, and they think, okay, because I did an advertising, I'm going to get a lead that comes in.
Yeah,
But a lot of them don't even have a strategy in place. And
yeah,
so it's critical that you understand that, especially now with Facebook, they've done so many changes,
a lot of
obviously,
changes.
especially with the equal housing rights, right? And so now
Yes,
you
yeah,
can't even search what you did before. Now it's like everything's in a box.
yeah.
So
You
you're
can't do
very,
by
very
zip
limited.
code. You can't
Hmm.
do zip code. You can't do by gender. You can't even
Yep.
do by age. You,
Correct.
I mean, it's a lot more challenging.
Correct. And I think a lot of people don't know that also, out of the search engines, Facebook is actually the number 3 search engine, right? So
Mhm,
obviously number 1 is Google, number
mhm.
2 is YouTube, and number 3 is Facebook.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do see is that people are not posting enough. And so the goal of Facebook and any other social media, and I want to share with you a picture. This is a picture of, I don't know if you can see this. So I was in Portland at the Marketing Edge for Tom Ferry, and this is what they recommended, right, as your daily social marketing strategy. So they're saying that we're gonna have to do 1 or 2 posts per day, 3 stories, and the key thing right here is really they talked a lot about this, and it says 10 comments, right, and so. And then they said that's for Instagram, for LinkedIn, and YouTube, the same thing. The thing I like most about the comments and what people don't realize is that is how you engage with people, right? Um, when when people are posting, they do it because they want to share their ideas and they want to share um, their thoughts. And if we're not
Yep.
commenting on them, they're not gonna, they're not gonna see. I don't know. It's
So engagement.
yeah, yeah. Another thing too that I've done on some of my posts is I've actually gone back in my past.
Hmm.
Like if I had a really great post in 2019,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
had 119 likes and like
yeah.
80 comments, I would just make a quick comment and say, "Oh my God, I can't. I remember this day.
Very
this is
smart.
a moment in time."
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And that was like 2 years ago. And then all of a sudden you start seeing people going back in those posts and making comments. So,
They
um,
see your posts. They see your commenting.
yeah,
It's part of the algorithm. It's when you're commenting, your followers see Matt Nguyen commented on this post, and then it pulls it up on their feed.
correct, correct, correct. So, um, putting comments is going to be a huge, huge critical thing that people would have to kind of play this part. It does take time. It's one of those,
Hmm.
Gary V kind of roles, right? Jab, 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 and then right hook, right? So
Yes.
no ROI at all. So,
No. No.
uh,
No. No. And I think that's that word ROI is used too loosely and too focused. Like the long term strategy. What's your strategy? Like you said earlier, because
correct,
ROI can't be that like driver of the strategy. It needs to be like, are you in it to make money? Are you in it to build these relationships, change people's lives? Like, what's that story behind that? Because that's what's going
correct.
to make you successful.
Correct. I agree. I agree. And then there's certain ways to create stories, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, there is the long story and the short story, and
Mhm.
as you know, they both have different algorithms on Facebook. But I wanted to go into what we consider um, original content versus infographics. I think a lot of us as agents, we are so used to infographics because there's so much data in regards to real estate. We
Mhm.
can write down like, okay, so if a house was listed for this price, this is how many people visit the open house. This is how many offers we got. This is how fast we sold it. And agents are creating infographic posts, but what they don't understand is infographic posts don't work on all platforms. So that's the reason why when you go on Facebook and you try to boost infographics, it doesn't work. It even tells you infographics does not work on
Too
this.
much text. Yeah.
Correct. So the best thing to do is always create original content. Keep all your content very simple. And then on the scripts, on the writing the post, then you could either choose the long story or the
Mhm.
short story, and that is going to be a better way of posting compared to doing infographics. So,
Yeah.
right? You
I
agree?
agree. I agree. And it actually does a couple of things to what you said there. So the infographics, you're right. They don't do well because they have tons of text. And Facebook already did all the analysis. People don't like to read all that text when they look at an image. They want to be able to comprehend it quickly. But there are a lot of people that still like to read. So when you put that long form up top to the ad, what you end up doing is you're boosting the algorithm because if you're looking at if a person looks at your content, they like it and they see that the first 3 lines is interesting. The minute they click on see more, they just boosted your post because they
Correct.
voted on your post saying that they're engaged. So Facebook knows that, and then it actually costs is actually cheaper. It reduces the cost
Correct.
of engagement because more people are clicking on see more, which is actually a button. People don't
Correct.
realize. Yeah.
Correct. And that's the better method than doing the long picture graphic because that
Yes.
that doesn't work. So
Yes. Yes.
cool. I also wanted to kind of share with you too as well, even in my post, basically original content versus pre-written content and
Mhm.
how it shows on people's feed. So I'm guilty of this because I actually do have um, I do have vendors that I
Sure.
use for pre-written content. Then I also do my own content too as well. So here
Mhm.
is an example. Here is a post. This one was done by BombBomb. As you can see, it reached 22 people, but had 0 engagements. This one was done by Snapshot, uh, 26 people, 0 engagements.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then this one was done by Back at You Media, and
Okay.
this is a home valuation. It reached 29 people and 0 engagement. I also want to touch on this too as well. This is one of those things where I have this because I paid for it a long time ago. I haven't changed it, but I don't believe that this is going to be a strength or a marketing strategy for real estate agents. Right now, I'm seeing these type of ads a lot, and it doesn't.
Everybody
I don't
does it.
think it's going to work. Yeah, yeah,
Everybody does it.
yep. But then there's another one that says social post. It reached 43 people, 0 engagement. But here's a post that I did, right? And obviously, I posted this kind of late at night, but as you can see, it had 28 people it reached, and then it's 3 engagements. The
Yeah.
key thing here is really, here's another one, 42, and then 3 engagements. Now, the reason why I'm showing this is to give an example for the audience that it's always easy for us to pay someone to do your marketing,
Yeah. Yeah.
but what this is the result of pay. The result of pay is 0 engagements. So it's better that if you just take that moment of time,
Mhm.
create your own post, and then you get an engagement
Right.
from your fans. So
Right. And I'll add a few things to this to further explain the reason why you don't get engagements to these is it's a couple of things. One, these marketing companies, they don't truly write original content. So that same link that you're sharing, he's seeing is the same link across the nation, right? So
correct.
other agents get the same thing. So Facebook knows and they read through these links. They say, hey, wait a minute, this is the same content another 100 agents are sharing on the same day or maybe a week ago. So they say, you know what, I'm not going to push this out to your followers because that's not original content. They reward original content. But if you were to share this, a link, that's not a bad thing to do. But if you added some verbiage up top, like you actually
Mm,
posted, say something about it, then that helps create a boost. So Facebook made some recent changes where they made it even more difficult to get to your audience. Because, for example, your audience on this page is 1,000 people, right? A
mhm,
thousand
yeah,
people liked it.
yeah.
That's your audience, and it's very low reach, and that's by design. They're forcing businesses to pay to boost. I'm even seeing that in my business. So in my business, I don't hire anyone to do content. All of my content is original, and I get quite a lot of engagement. But recently, it's been the engagements are a lot lower now because they're forcing you now to pay. So that's also something to understand that even if you do all the right things, Facebook is still encouraging you and putting you in a spot where you have to pay if you really want to get to your audience. There's certain things you can do, but I want to put that out there that it's not always using a third party service. It's also Facebook is attributing to this too.
Awesome, awesome. That's good to know. And I also wanted to give some insight in regards to the posts that you can create. As you saw from Tom Ferry's coaching, they recommend doing 1 or 2 posts per day. Obviously, that's so hard to kind of
That's a
create
lot.
content, right? And so one of the things I've done, and you've seen my posts before, is I always go in and do daily motivations as a post, is one post, and then I also do a daily holiday. So you could type in daily holidays, and I typed in daily holidays, and this is April 2020. As you can see, every day there is a holiday, right? And so we go into today.
I love
Today's the 17th.
it.
So these are the things we could have done today.
Yeah.
Um, I was actually gonna do a National Cheese Ball Day.
What is that? Bat Appreciation Day?
What's that?
Bat?
Bat, yeah,
Like
yeah.
baseball bat? Baseball bat?
No, I think it's the
Or
real
bat?
animal bat.
A
Yeah,
bat?
let me see. Let me see. Yeah, it's actually the bat. So it's the
Oh
bat.
my goodness.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That would be interesting given what we're going through with COVID-19 and
Yeah, right. And yeah, what I love about this is this site tells you all information that you need to know about creating that content. And so you could just go into Canva, get a picture that you like, and write the description, and then boom, there's your post, and you're immediately, you know, you're not hitting your fan base with the same type of just listed, just sold, pending, because your fan base is getting sick of seeing that, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be a little bit creative. I was actually going to do National Cheese Ball. I think this is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so if you go to this, you'll see that every day there is a holiday. I mean, every day there's something to celebrate,
That's crazy.
right? And then there's another side too as well. It says daily motivation. You just get the daily motivation from there. Again, go back to Canva, create your content and upload it and share. I
Yeah.
think these are the great way for you to establish the 1 or 2 posts per day on your social network. So you're always going to help engage into your clients. All right, so that's Facebook itself. Want to jump into Google really quick.
Yeah.
Google is actually I think it's one of those platforms that's misunderstood because it's probably the ugliest platform.
Yeah.
You can't
I
like and
agree.
you can't share, and so people are not motivated. But it is so important to be on Google. Again, Google is the #1 search engine, right?
Mhm.
This right here is my business page, and this is the performance that I had for my page. All these numbers have gone down a little bit. That's because, as you can see, my latest post was 3 days ago. I used to be in a position where I post every day, actually sometimes 2 or 3 times, but I kind of stopped that for the last 3 days. And so my performance has gone down. So the result of my result is because I haven't been participating. That's the reason
You're
why.
posting on your business page,
Correct.
Google.
Correct. So as far as if I have 228 views, 156, I want to dive deep into this 156 because it's very important. They break it down to 2 categories, right? First one is direct and the other one is discovery. So direct would be, you would have to know my name. It has to be Matt Nguyen
Yeah.
for it to be direct, right?
Mhm.
Discovery would be Zillow or house for sale in San Jose,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So 73 people were able to discover me by using those type of key terms that I would have never had before. Now, the only reason why these numbers are actually low, again, like I said, I posted 3 days ago.
Yeah.
But one of the things I do post on a daily basis is photos,
Mhm.
right? And so if you look at my photos, I have 12,000 views in my photos,
That's crazy.
right?
That's
So
crazy.
that is giving me maximum exposure
But where are you
uh,
posting these photos?
on my Google My Business. So basically, I set up an account with Google My Business. This is the back page, and this is the page in Google Maps.
How does it look like?
This
Can
is
you
it.
share that? I
This is
see.
it.
I see. I see.
So when you go into Google, this is how it looks like. And these are all the photos that, see, if I used to do it religiously, right? But then I kind of stopped. And that's the reason why I don't have the numbers that I have. But this
Got
is how your Google Maps would look like. Okay.
awesome.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about why I think this is important. And again, I showed you on Facebook to add the products and services, right?
Yeah.
Again, I did it on Google My Business. So the same thing, the same thing I did in Facebook, I did here in to Google. If you click on the services that I provide, again, it tells you detailed information in regards to what I'm doing. So I do that on all types, right? So the first thing is that the listing services that I provide. These are the services that, as a listing agent, I provide. These are my current listings that I have right now, and these are the ones I just sold, right? And so I'm putting them in separate categories so people could see what what they are. Because on Google, you can search for certain keywords, and you want to make sure that you belong in that search
Yeah.
engine. So again, it shows you to explore the categories, which is the same as view all. And then because my Facebook and Google have the same name, so this is Matt Nguyen, Next Home Real Estate, and this is my Facebook. As you can see, it's the same name. They were able to map me. And the reason why that's important is the reviews on Facebook now show on Zillow. I'm sorry, my reviews on Facebook now show on
Perfect.
on Google. Now, this is a little bit behind because of this COVID-19. A lot has been taken away because they've lacked the people there to be working on it. Before, there used to be a section here that says answer a question, and they took that out.
Hmm.
So, but then I know that for a fact it will come back on, but for now it is taken out.
Interesting.
Um,
So you can design like FAQs type thing.
Pretty much, yeah. And you can write, and the way it's supposed to work is you're supposed to ask a question, and then you could even write a blog about it and then answer your own question. Or even better, when you have someone else that came into your website and started asking a question, that actually does better. But I want to kind of go over reviews because I wanted to share with you something. Um, there's a certain thing called Google Command, and it's out already, but it's not fully out yet,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's in its infancy stage and it's
Yeah.
still learning. Not out yet, but almost there. But look at the key. Look at my reviews. You can see keywords that are bold in black.
Mm-hmm.
Why
Mm-hmm.
do you think they're bold in black? Like
Yeah.
this one says choice.
Mm.
Now this one says realtor. This one
Yeah. Yeah.
says real estate agents, and
Mm-hmm.
this one says real estate market and area.
Yeah.
So Google right now is looking at your reviews, and they have already tagged your reviews with certain keywords that they want to be
That's awesome.
used, right? Um, this is important because
Mm-hmm.
imagine with this COVID-19, before the technology was used to be Yelp, right? When you wanted to look for a review or a suggestion, you would go on Yelp. But
Yeah.
when you go on Yelp, there's a lot of key things that you have to do. Number one, depending on what device you're using, whether it's your iPhone where you do face or you do a code password, that's one step. The next step is now you have to find the app itself, which is Yelp, right? And then
Mhm.
you type in Yelp, and then now you have to type in, you know,
Yeah.
you have to type in like best agent in San Jose. Then you
Yeah.
have to type it in. And then now you have to go in and look at all those reviews.
Yeah.
Now, what's going to happen is, you know, and Apple led the way with Siri, right? And then obviously we saw what Amazon did with Alexa, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with Google, they're going to say, hey, Google, who is the best real estate agent in San Jose,
Yeah.
right? And the key here is to get as many of these specific keywords in. So I have a total of 25 reviews on Google, but
That's
out of the
awesome.
25 reviews, 3 of those reviews say that I know about my market,
Yeah.
right? And so now I know that if someone says, um, a question could be like, who's the best real estate in San Jose that understands market trends,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I mean, like certain things like
Absolutely.
that.
This
Then
validates it.
yeah, and then this will pop up,
Yeah.
right? And so it's important that agents really, number one, take the time to focus on getting the reviews, but also getting really good quality reviews that identify some of the key behaviors, right? So one of the key behaviors is professionalism, team, ethics,
Mm-hmm.
those key variables. You want to make sure that you have that. So
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's very intentional with Google search. So
correct.
I can speak from personal experience. When I was thinking about selling my rentals, I didn't go on Zillow, I didn't go on Facebook to find an agent. I just went on Google and I said top realtor in Sacramento because that's where I was selling. I didn't know any agents, and so whatever agent pulled up, that was the agent that I tried to contact. Right, so
Yeah.
it's very important what you're doing. I think that's phenomenal that you've already have this type of insight, because this is like what marketers are telling or teaching. So the fact
Yeah.
that you already know all of this, you're like way ahead of the game, way ahead. Because when Google does come to the market
Uh-huh.
and really compete head on with Alexa, um, how do they know and validate that this data point is legit about Matt? Well, a review is from a verified individual. So
Correct.
that whatever they're saying, that holds a lot more weight than you writing your own review on a blog, right?
Correct.
You know what I mean? That's a validated review. So
Correct.
that's really powerful.
Correct. And again, like I said, again, with writing a description for yourself, my descriptions are okay, but I think I do my descriptions 99% better than most agents because they just kind of leave it blank, right? You never want to leave your description or your bio blank. You want to write in as much information as you can so people will know who you are, and then they'll hire you because of that. All
Yeah.
right. So that's Google My Business. I want to go jump into the next category, which would be, oops, I think I just stopped.
Yeah.
I stopped, huh? Okay, so let me go back to share. All right. So now I'm into Google. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yeah. I see photo.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so now I'm into Google Image. And so Google's so big that it cannot just be put into one basket. So Google Image is another searchable way for people to find who you are. Now, obviously, they're only images, right? But the image tells a story about a person. So when you're sending out a flyer and you're promoting your business, obviously the first thing they're going to do is kind of find out who you are. But the second thing they're also going to do is probably look at some of your photos, right? Are you the agent that goes clubbing, or are you the agent that is active in the community field, or what is it that you do? The thing about Google Image is it takes images from different places in the World Wide Web, right? It
Yeah.
takes pictures from LinkedIn, it takes pictures from Pinterest, it takes pictures from Reach 150, your own blogs, everything. So
Mhm.
at one time, so Matt Nguyen is this guy, Matt Vin Dumble. He's actually at one time when I did this, he took the entire page of Google Image. And then obviously there's the politician right here. He had did his Forbes stuff. And then of course, then there's me. Before this, I was never on this page. I was never on this page. The only reason why I got to this page is I constantly put in content. I
Yeah.
constantly put in pictures. So now let's dive into real estate, because if the client saw my flyer, they'll say, okay, Matt Nguyen, real estate. So let's go in real estate. Again, there you go. I'm on the top,
Yeah.
right? So the other people are at the bottom. Now I'm on the top. And real estate agent again, I'm on top. So everything that I have done, and then San Jose, now it shows you all the houses that I've sold, because I've tagged all my houses and I let them know that, hey, that was a house that I sold,
Right. Right.
right? And so now on the Google image side, I'm getting exposure, because now people say, okay, he is really a real estate agent. He is really active because these are things that he's doing. So very important to start thinking about how to build Google image, and some of the platforms that you can use. Like I said, again, writing blogs on Medium will help, right? Twitter will help, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Giphy. All these are ways that you can get into Google image, and it's very important that you're there.
Right. Absolutely. And as you post things, so I'll just stop here for a second. See, this is an opportunity to talk a little bit. We'll get deeper into this, but about landing pages, because when someone looks at your photo and they're here, they're gonna click on those images.
Correct.
So all of those images are essentially opportunities to close that engagement gap, opportunities for you to engage. So those are essentially potential landing pages, a place that you're talking about yourself. So if it's a specific listing, like you mentioned, you're tagging yourself, and I'm sure in the listing or in that website, you probably gave information how they can contact you. I
Correct.
see a lot of times agents forget to give their own information. Like they just post something and they just say, call me. But then they forget to put that information in because it was from Facebook and they assume people knew them. Like
Yeah.
so that just has to be like a automatic. When you're putting
Correct.
something on social media, if it's about business, you got to make it easy for them to reach out to you.
Got it. Yep. So that's Google Image. Let's go into another section, which is Google Maps. Very important play for you to understand. Google Maps. The reason why this is important is because when you're going out, you want to be the local expert, right? Because real estate agents always say, "I'm the local expert. List with me because I'm the local expert." Well, if you're the local expert, then you need to know where all the parks are at, the universities, the schools, the restaurants, the movie theaters. You need to know all that. And if you don't, then how could you be considered the local expert, right? And
Yeah.
so Google Maps is the next thing that you have to focus on. Very key thing about Google Maps is there are certain things, and I'm going to kind of go over here. This is my, these are the contributions that I made onto Google Maps. The reason why it's important for me to contribute at a high level is because I want Google to know that I am active in my area,
So when you say
right?
contribute, what do you mean contribute? Writing
So let's just
reviews?
say I can go to a restaurant, right? I can go to In-N-Out and I could write a review for In-N-Out,
Got it.
right? And that is what I mean by contribution. You want to be in a position where you're contributing every resource you can to Google, so Google could recognize you as an individual that is participating, compared to some agents or some people who basically just they want to set up an account, right? And they want to get reviews, but they don't want to give back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is like what I'm trying to say is this is how you give back. So for a very short time, and I actually haven't done this because obviously SIP is in place, right? But I did 77 reviews, 255 photos. I answered 422 questions, and I fact checked 101. Now let me kind of show you what those mean and why those are important. So let me escape from this. So when you're onto my Google Maps, this is what your Google Maps would look like. There is a section that says check the facts. Okay, check the facts. And when you click on this button, basically you're gonna have all these. These are all the businesses that are in your area. So now they're asking you, easy market. Is this a good description? You don't know. I don't know. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The next one um, is this a does this place exist? I don't know. Right?
I
So
see. I see.
I keep on doing fact checks, and the reason why I do fact checks is it Google now knows that I'm participating and is going to rank me up higher. So that's number one. Checking the facts is awesome. The next thing I want to share with you too as well is I'm going to jump around a little bit.
Does
Is
Google know that how you're answering these questions? Did
correct? Yeah,
they expose
yeah,
that
yeah.
publicly? Like Matt
No,
confirmed this business?
no. I think the only way for now is you have to look at your own page to find out what you're doing
Got it.
for them to see. Um,
Okay.
but let's go into places. So this is what I was talking about. When you say you're the local expert, right? You need
Yeah.
to know more about the community. So, for example, I created this, and this is snacks in San Jose Berryessa because I live in San Jose Berryessa. I have not done anything else from this, but as you can see, when you pull up these reviews, my reviews are very, you can see on the left-hand side,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
have I done with my reviews? I've actually branded myself, right? So
Yeah.
I gave these business a review, which is fair. I'm not trying to overinflate things or anything like that.
Sure. Sure.
But then I'm putting in things that I want people to associate themselves with, right? The orange heart, the
Mhm.
dog, the paw. All
Yeah.
my reviews will have that. And now that I'm creating this, so what I would recommend for agents to do is to create places, right? So one place would be parks, one place would be churches or community gatherings. The other one would be amusement parks.
Mm-hmm.
The other place would be like your fast food stuff,
Yeah.
right? And create all these places. That way you could help, the consumer know where all these things are at. And so when they're looking for something in, let's just say, San Jose Berryessa, they could just type it, and these are the things that will pop up
Hmm.
because I have that. So that is
I like
places.
that. I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
it's a great way to set up something so you could be the local expert. The next one is, and I think I shared with you was, let me go back to my contributions. All right. So the last one is answers. Answers are an awesome way to build credibility with Google. And what answers are is when you go onto Google, you're going to see on the right-hand side, and I'm going to use my friend Sandra Pike's Google's business page.
Mhm.
Hopefully Sandra doesn't get mad at me. Okay, so this is Sandra Pike, and I'm actually going to explore a little bit more on Sandra's page too as well. So you see this part that says share the latest info,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So when I click on this, what it does, it asks me questions about how I know this business, right? So now they're asking me, does Sandra have a wheelchair access? Yes or no, right? So now you're able to answer and contribute to Google, and you're getting points on it, and Google knows you're helping Google identify who Sandra is.
Sure. Sure.
So you're
Yeah.
helping Sandra's business, but you're also helping yourself because you're active in the community. So I'm not going to go into this because there's actually a little bit more. So remember how I told you about the AI and
Yeah.
then, so here's Sandra's. So on team, she had 22 people that gave her something where they can use the keyword team.
Okay.
How about professionalism? 13. How about
Yeah.
market? How about buyer?
Yeah.
How about this? I don't know what that is, but can you imagine if you're able to do this
Yeah. Yeah.
on
Yeah.
your own profile, and how easy would it be for people to see your business now that you have this, right?
You're making it super easy for Google to basically rank you.
Correct,
That's
correct,
what you're trying to do at
correct.
the end of the day.
Cool. So yeah, so that's really my quick Facebook and Google. I know I
A
asked you
lot,
to
man.
share.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Uh,
I mean, for you to share this, I appreciate that. I mean, you're a true GoPro agent, man. That is it. Like, that's a lot of stuff that
yeah.
I'm impressed, man.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stop sharing. So I know you have some stuff that you could share in regards to Facebook and landing pages. So I'm gonna stop share so you can have access.
Yeah, so let's do this. Let's do this. Let me give you some of my tips first before I talk about landing pages. So I'm
Okay.
gonna go and give me a second here. I'm going to uh, share my screen here. Number one, share one screen. Okay, I'm gonna bring this in here. So this is like my, when I'm on social media, as you see my posts. I like to use probably two tools I consistently use when I'm posting, um, which is when I write emojis. I use this a lot, and this is like my encyclopedia. A lot of times agents will just write long-winded posts, and I get it because they don't have time, but consumers, they like to be, one, entertained, two, their attention span is very small. So whatever message you're trying to put out there,
Mhm.
you want to convey it, not just with text, but with emotions. And you got to be careful not putting too much emojis, but having sprinkle one or here or there, it allows you to really turn that post into a little bit more lively, and a
Right.
way to like kind of help you figure out what emoji should I use with this. This is what I use a lot. So
Mhm.
if I'm having a post about, like, asking a question, like if that's a very common thing agents can do, or they do already. They say, are you thinking about selling, or what do you think about this design? You can use a word like think, type that in, and it's going to pull up an emoji for that represents think, like a thinking
Mhm.
face.
Yeah.
And what I do is I take that and I copy that and I put that in my post, right? And
Correct.
it doesn't take a long time, and after a while, this becomes second nature.
Correct.
So this is something I use myself to how I figure out and get. There's so many different emojis you can use, but by searching for the key terms, you can actually get those right emojis and put that together, and that
Right.
essentially,
Awesome.
makes it more a little more visual. So I use it. It's called emojipedia.org. Highly recommend people do that, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Um, Another thing I like to do is I don't see a lot of people do this, but there's a website called yaytext.com. I don't know, Matt, if you used this before, but this is a great way to emphasize words. So, for example, I can say something like, um, who you work with matters, right? And I can go down here and copy the bolded words. So I can even do italics. Maybe I want to copy this. I can copy this and I can go over to Facebook and I can make a post and it'll be bolded for me. So
Mm.
I'm gonna close
Nice.
this up. So if I say I want to create a post and I want to say, instead of saying this, who you work with matters, I can actually say this and it's bolded. So it
Hmm.
grabs people's attention. So when you
Nice.
have a post and maybe you have a price reduction, you might want to consider bolding that with those
Hmm.
emojis and really grabbing that attention, because you got to imagine right now during this COVID-19, more people are online now than ever.
Right.
You're talking about the entire world on lockdown, essentially, right? So you're in the computer. So I don't know if you saw this Instagram video from Grant Cardone. He basically said he's going bankrupt right? And he got
Mm-hmm.
tons of engagement, and
Yeah.
everybody either hating on him, saying he deserved it, haha, he's finally gonna lose his money. And then he comes out with, he did that like a couple of days ago, and he recently came back and said he was just messing around. He did that to get your attention. You
Yeah.
see, so people are doing some drastic measures to get attention. This is
Yeah.
just one of those ways, is to separate yourself from everybody else. Everybody just
Correct.
writing text, and like what you're doing, Matt, you're really thinking out of the box. You're really trying to like make sure your strategy is whole. And I love the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you're not thinking about the ROI. How do I
Correct.
get leads now? Because
Correct.
I don't know how. I've worked with so many agents, and my company, we don't sell marketing services, but we do our own marketing, and we would be considered experts in that space. But when we do help our agents just as pro bono, we get leads for them, but that agents think that that's what they want, leads, but that's not what you want. You want a strategy, because you get the leads in and you don't have a system in place to
Correct.
follow up, a system to get notified when you have
Mm-hmm.
a lead. Then it's pointless. You throw your money away. So
Yep. I agree.
to agents thinking about, well, should I be, because I'm getting this constant, these feeds in these Facebook groups. They're asking, should I do advertising now? But the thing is, when I ask them what strategy you have when you actually get a lead, they don't have anything. Like they
Correct.
don't, right? So they don't have like a Google business page. They don't have a Facebook business page.
Yeah.
Like, so they don't have some of the basics things set up. So like I said, you got to think about the long-term strategy. These two tools, really valuable, right? Yaytext.com. I use that constantly, and I use
Nice.
that on my LinkedIn post, on my Facebook post, and it's consistency. It's just remembering when I want to emphasize a key point, I just go in here, type it up. Another thing I want to give a tip out is something that not a lot of agents don't know, is how do you like spy on your competitors,
Oh, that's a
right?
good one.
Right? How do you spy on a top producer who claims he's crushing it, right? And he tells you, well, I'm running all these ads. If you ask him what ads he's running, do you think they're going to tell you exactly what those ads are?
No, not
No,
no.
no, most
Yeah.
likely he's going to be
The
selfish.
secret. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a secret because Facebook doesn't like that anymore. So there's a website you go to, it's called Facebook Ads Library. Okay, you just search for it, Facebook
Mm-hmm.
Ad Library. It exposes everybody ads. So what I like to do is, if you're trying to get, for example, seller listings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you want to go to in terms of your competitor who is advertising to get homes? It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be like the bigger players like Zillow, right?
Correct.
Zillow
Correct.
is getting into the iBuyer program. So what I do is I go up onto Ad Library, I search for Zillow, and these are all the ads they're running, right? So now you can start thinking about, okay, this is their strategy. This is that type of video. How do I take this, spin it my way? Because they've done all the research on what works for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I will point out, some of the bigger companies, if they're really savvy, they will throw out ads just to throw off the competition, right? So some of these ads aren't really real, but they throw it in there so that people who don't know this, they think, oh, that works, I'm going to copy it.
Oh, wow.
They end up losing money. Okay, so I want to be where, like when it comes to like real corporate battling, they do this.
Right.
But for the majority part, if you see like the majority type ads, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see a common pattern. So you're seeing, for example, let's just see what this one is. This is an ad about our homes are at the center of our lives, never before. And now more than ever, we understand the real value of home. Okay, so what did okay, so very short. It's a short
Seconds.
video,
Mm-hmm.
but the message here, the way I can dissect this is they're trying to associate true value. They're trying to associate accuracy, because
Mm-hmm.
their biggest negative
Is the values,
thing
yeah.
about the value is being off.
Yeah.
So now they're saying not accurate, they're saying real value. You see how they play that
Mm-hmm.
words, but they're doing quick videos. So now right away, as a marketer or as an agent, if I saw this, what I'm going to be thinking about, okay, maybe I should think about doing a quick 6-second video. They put a very little text in, a little bit of music. The verbiage is very short. And by looking at this, I know they're putting this on Instagram, right? This is an
Mm-hmm.
Instagram ad. Are they doing it on Facebook? Let's see. Facebook here. This is a Facebook ad. It says, right now, our homes are at the center of our lives like never before. Again, what they're emphasizing is, look, with this COVID-19, our house is even more important, right? Having a
Yeah.
house, having roots down is so important, because people who are renting, can be in a position of a lot of uncertainty, right? So this
Mm-hmm.
could be, let's see what this thing is. Okay, same thing. It's the same video, but it's on a different format. So this is one of the things that I do. And if you go to the ad details, sometimes they share with you like the location where they're advertising to.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see here. I know a big player. Let's see what Open Door does, right? They try to get listings, right?
Yeah.
Open Door. Let's see what they're doing. Oh, so apparently they're not running any ads right now, right? And if you do, a realtor, I'll just say realtor. Let's see if we can pull up any realtor. Let's see what these guys are doing here. There you go. So they have different ads running. Again, very short verbiage. They do videos, imagery. So you can play around with this, because a lot of these images are images that you can find online. A lot of times
Mm-hmm.
it's free, but you can see their general strategy. And some of these, for example, learn more is it going to take them to a landing page? Yeah, it takes me to a landing page where it's asking me for my zip code,
Address. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's their strategy. So in terms of looking at a competition, this is a great way just to get some insight on how they're doing. I never recommend you copy people because um, whatever works for them works for their audience. You don't know how they're targeting
Right.
people, but it gives you a general idea on the messaging, the type of creatives,
Mm-hmm.
the imagery, and that can get you on the right path.
Yeah.
So so those three are the three tips I like to do. We don't have time to where I'm going to dig into how to run ads. There is this tool um, called Facebook Insights. I don't know if you used this before. Um, it's called Audience Insights. This
No.
one is where you can actually learn. Let me just hide my bookmark so we can make it bigger. It's completely free, where you can log in and you can see what type of people are like what type of based on some certain parameters you can learn about their interest. So this is how you can now level up your game if you're thinking about like advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And you know if we maybe we can do another session where we talk and
Sure.
dig deep into like what really changed on Facebook. But very
Mm-hmm.
quickly they stripped away a lot of our traditional way of searching, like identifying someone as a home buyer. But what you can do is you can use certain attributes and then figure out what is it that like, what business they like. For example, let's do something very quickly. I'm going to do something in San Jose. I'm in the Evergreen area. So let's go type in San Jose. I'm going to search for all the people in San Jose. So as I do my searching, I'm filtering down the people that are on Facebook, right? So right now,
Mm-hmm.
I just did a San Jose search, and it's about 800,000 to 900,000 people in this pool. And right
Mm-hmm.
away, I know from in San Jose, 51% are women, right? 49% are men. 50% of them are married, right? You can tell me the education
Mm-hmm.
level, the type of job title. So you can see you're getting a lot of good information. Um, and if I look at San Jose, the people in San Jose, they are really liking community type pages, you see, and they also
Mm-hmm.
like police station. That's very interesting. So they care about crime. And then Santana Row is in the third one. But
Uh-huh.
let's dig a little bit deeper because I want to know my demographic of, let's just say, homeowners. Let's go ahead
Sure.
and search. Let's figure this out. The age group. Well, the homeowner is not going to be 18 years old. They're
Correct.
generally what age? You help me out.
I would say at least 30, 35.
Okay, 35. Okay, let's
Yeah.
go 35. 35 and up. Okay, and right away it changes the entire demographic because now we went from 800,000 to 500,000. All right,
Mm-hmm.
so now we're digging down, 35 and up, and generally the homeowners, are they men or women selling? Do you give a guess?
I I would I would say men.
Men. Okay, let's
Yeah.
just go ahead. So we searched down to the men only. Now we're going to start seeing that it went down to 500,000 to 200,000. So you're talking about 200,000 men in
Mm-hmm.
San Jose that is over 35 years old. Let's see what type of pages they're interested in. If I go to the pages, they're interested in protecting San Jose. They're interested in the
Mm,
Mercury news. That's very interesting, right?
yeah.
So they're very interested in news. Let's see here. They're interested in Santa Cruz Boardwalk. Interesting, right? They like the sports team here, right?
Hmm.
Earthquakes, Sharks. That makes sense.
Yep. Okay.
If I go down, you can see the way they rank these relevancy is if you talk about this specific page or something relating to this, you have a high likelihood of connecting with your audience. If you can connect with the audience when you run an ad, that means your cost per click or cost per view will be lower, meaning you'll spend less money but get more reach, more engagement, and you have a higher success rate of
Oh,
running an
wow.
ad. So that's what it means when you say relevancy score. In terms of this, they rank them. So so if what is Protect San Jose? I have no idea. Let's
I've
click.
never heard of that.
Yeah, it's right. So without this audience insights, you wouldn't
Mhm.
know, right? So with
Yeah.
this, now let's see what's Protect San Jose. I think it's about arming yourself. Okay, so a lot of people like this in San Jose.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so now you have content that they're posting. So as an agent, knowing that my target audience is men above 35, I would probably get good engagement if I shared this post, right?
Hmm.
So this is a way to see if you can tap into the audience interest. What do they care
Nice.
about? So let's go back further and see what else can we do. Maybe we can say the interest group, maybe the ones who have searched for mortgages, right? Maybe because they own a mortgage.
Hmm.
Okay, now that drills down further. Now it kicked that out and went straight to this popular restaurant at the Grand View in Mountain View in Mount Hamilton. You
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
how you see how this thing can just dynamically change, and then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, as you drill down, now your messaging is not about the police. It's actually about that maybe that lifestyle in the
Yeah.
mountains, right? So now you can see how this becomes, it can be really fun, engaging, but it really opens your eyes.
Correct.
So this is like one of our toolbox as marketers. We use this. Now, not all marketers even know about this. So if you're as an agent thinking about hiring a marketer, you should
Hmm.
ask them, do they even use this? Because if they don't use this, then then their go-to play is they're going to depend on you. They're going to depend, do you have a customer list so I can
Yeah.
advertise to them? But
Yep.
again, if you want to grow, get out of that SOI and expand, then
Hmm.
you're going to want to have to figure out, these type of insights and come
Yep.
up with a strategy. Okay, so those are the three things I shared. I want to talk about a little bit on the landing pages and why landing pages are effective, and then I'll talk about a little bit about Cato, what we're doing, and what you're doing, and give some examples of
Sure.
that, and then go from there.
Awesome.
So let me share my screen here. Oh, I'm already here already. Okay,
Yeah. You're already
I'm
sharing.
already on my screen. So, okay, so you know, um, you mentioned earlier about how the websites are going away, right? You
Mhm.
mentioned that. Why am I speaking here? I have your. I have to look at you while I speak. um, yeah, you mentioned how websites are going away, and I do believe that, especially for agents, because consumers aren't going on your website to search for homes like that. I think we got to understand that, like
Yep.
that game, like that leverage you may have had 20 years ago is gone. It's completely
Correct.
gone. We have to accept that and adapt to the fact that people go on Redfin, Trulia, Zillow to do
Correct.
the searching.
Yep.
And the reason why people aren't getting the right engagement is because you might spend 1,000, 2,000, maybe you spend a few $100s on a beautiful website with an IDX feed.
Hmm.
Problem with that is you might get people coming on. Let's just assume you did that. The thing is when you're on a website, and if you don't understand like the behavior of a consumer, you only have 8 seconds to get their attention. That's it, statistically. So when
Yeah.
they go on your
Low.
website, like you have to ask yourself, 8 seconds, how do I get them to engage? Right? The reason why you can't get them to engage is a couple of things. One, you got way too many distractions, right? You got all these buttons and you got this, you're distracting them from why did they come to your website? Did they come because they were interested in a specific property? then you should be giving them just that. If they're thinking about selling a house, you should give them just that. But when you
Mhm.
take them to a website like this, within 8 seconds, they get confused. And within 8 seconds, they bounce out.
Yeah.
And I always ask agents, if people did land on your website, wouldn't you want to know that they're on your website? And if you knew, wouldn't you want to try to engage with them and try to speak to them? Because that's your opportunity at that point. It's like you walking, I compare that to like going to a retail store. You go to Nordstrom, right? What's so great about them? They have great customer service, right? You walk in there at that mall, you go into the store, you see a customer rep, and they look at you in the eye, they greet you, and they say, "Hey, how can I help you?" And as a consumer, you appreciate that, but you may not want to speak to them. So you say, "No, I'm just browsing," and you walk away. But if you saw that customer rep, they look at you in the eye and they don't say nothing. As a
Mhm.
consumer, how do you feel, right? So
Yeah.
similarly, on the website, we live in this digital world now where you should know when someone's on your website and you should try to greet them. Unfortunately, the tools out there are complicated to have something like that. And even when you're sharing your website, this is something that also I think agents need to understand is when you're sharing your website, it looks like this. You have a specific image of that website,
Mhm.
but that's your one time sharing it. That's one time content. And then you're going to share your website maybe 2 days later. It looks the exact same
Exact
thing,
same. Yep.
right? You share it again. So your content is identical. You're sharing the website over and over. So it never really works because your content is the same,
Mhm.
right? So that's a problem. And hence having your own website is not the appropriate strategy. It's you might want to have a website because you have all your historical homes sold and you have your testimonials in there, which is fine. But you got to understand that when you're sharing that website, you're most likely experiencing just this what I'm showing. It's the
Mhm.
same content. So what that leads you into is you got to think about like landing pages, because landing pages is what will allow you to create different content that can still go to your website,
Correct.
right? So and they kind of emphasize why you want to do landing pages and why currently people don't get engagements on their websites, even social media you don't even get engagement. Is this agents do this? They'll take stuff, they'll throw it on social media, right? And then they'll get people liking it, right? Now, which is
Mhm.
great. You get that reaction and you feel good, right? You say,
Yep.
"Wow, I did a great post. I got people liking." But then, what's the strategy behind that, right?
Yep.
Because if it's purely brand awareness, okay, it's brand awareness. But even if it's brand awareness, you still want to give them opportunities to engage with you. The thing is, I see agents do this all the time. They'll post photos and then they'll say, "Call me and email me," right? But as a consumer, you put a restriction on them because consumers don't want to call you. They don't want to email you. You and I mean, we're great friends, Matt, but we don't call each other, right?
Yeah.
We mess each other on
Yep.
Messenger
Yep.
because I'm doing like 5 other things. You're doing 10 other things. You don't
Yep.
got time to be on the phone call, but
Yep.
you do have time to chat, right? So
Yeah.
as a consumer, they do the same thing. If you ever ask them, you interview them, they say at 79% of the time, they want a text. They don't want to call. They don't want an email. So if you can offer a way for them to chat with you on multiple platforms, you end up closing what I call this engagement gap, right? If you
Mhm.
post it on Facebook, you post it on LinkedIn, you put it on Twitter, you have your email draft, all of those conversations, if you can give them a way to engage with you through chat, you're going to have better improvement. And when you if you lace that with landing pages, you're going to have such more effectiveness because statistically, if businesses that have 40 landing pages get 12 times more leads than those who have less than 5. Most agents don't even have one, and a lot of them don't even have a website.
Exactly.
So again, you don't need a website, but you need to have a landing page. So that's what I would say is you may not want a website, you may not need it, but you need to have landing pages. They are geared toward generating business, generating engagements. So you can think about it, how you can use it. For example, looking at a post like this is very common. You can put something through, I mean, you can build this through Wix.com. You can do lead pages. There's a lot of services out there that can help you put this together. But I'm just going to use, for example, Cato as an example, where if you put these photos through Cato, the post will look just like this, where it gives you a preview of the image. But then it creates you this landing page, but gives you this incredibly engaging chat box.
Yep.
Where it does a couple of things for you, because by the time they land on that page, within 8 seconds, it can start a sales conversation for you. It can collect information for you. It can call and follow up for you. It can notify you instantly when there's a hot lead. And what I love about this is that you can even do this all on your phone within seconds. So when you talk about a strategy, this is what we're talking about. It's like, okay, maybe I'm going to try to generate business, but when they click on my content, what's my strategy? I want to put them in a position where they can call me if they want to. They can email me if they want to, but I know they prefer to chat. So if they have a question, they can send me a message, or they can, I have an array of menu items that they can choose from. Now, I know some agents listening to this, they're probably thinking already, like, man, Mike, I don't got time to be chit-chatting with people. I'm not doing real estate to have these conversations, right? And I tell agents, look, if you got a phone call, would you pick up the phone call if you're available? Absolutely. Otherwise, how would you know if that's a lead? How would you know that's an opportunity that could lead into something substantial? You have no idea, right? So as a chat widget on your website, if they send you a message and you're available, respond to it. It's like a phone call. It's a virtual phone call, or I call it like a virtual door knock, because when they land on your page, you pop up within 8 seconds and you ask them a question. They don't have to answer it, but at least you're giving them in a way and letting them know that they can actually communicate with you through this channel without having to do it through phone calls and emails, and then not being forced to fill out information. I'm going to give an example here on ways this system is used. Let me just pull in this. But right now, any questions so far, Matt?
No, sounds good.
I'm just going to pull up here. And I think I'm going to go to this link here for every agent. So this is an example where actually, Matt, you did a great job of this, because I know you definitely see the value in this. But agents are using these.
Your internet is buffering.
Give me a second.
It's better now.
Okay,
it's better.
We're almost done here. So I'm going to give you an example for where you can make a post. A simple real estate post that looks like this, that when they click on it, it takes them to this page. And as it loads up, something that I want to point out is that this page does have AI that sits behind it. In other words, if the consumer shows interest and they give you their phone number because they want to set up a schedule, there's an AI voice bot that gets triggered that will call the lead and drop a voicemail into the inbox, acknowledging that they filled out something and that the realtor is going to get back to them as soon as possible. It's a tremendous way of creating that initial touch point, and it's done for you automatically within 2 minutes. So if they say, for example, they want to put in an offer, they can put in their name, the phone number, submit it. The realtor is going to get an instant notification that information was collected. The lead is going to get a voicemail from the AI Cato bot, and at the same time, you'll be able to follow up. So that automation is all done for you. Now, this is what you would call a typical real estate post. So it's nothing, I would say, unusual, but it's done for you in the sense that you're just taking a few photos and putting them together. And I know my internet, for some reason right now, it's a bit slow, but I want to go back and focus on another piece of content, because every time you're posting, I do want to point this out, it's a content. So when you post something about real estate, a property, that's a content post right there. And all of those posts can get linked back to your business, your Google business. Here's an example of someone doing a business spotlight. Let this load up. You can use Cato to do business spotlighting, and you don't even need to do a video. You can just take photos together, put something together where they can talk about the business, supporting the local businesses that are affected by the COVID-19, but you can also have in order buttons. You can have menus. So all of this is put together. This is a great way where agents can really stand out in that community. I know you mentioned earlier, Matt, um, about contributing, being a local authority. This is exactly that. You doing a post will create that. And I believe you did this last couple of days ago.
Yeah.
You did a post on one of your friends' page, and he gave incredible feedback.
Yeah.
And you actually that post got more people viewing your content versus the real estate post. If you compared the two, you
Yep.
got like double the traffic.
Yep.
So if you go back, if you go to your post, I don't have it here,
Right.
but
It was like last week, right? Yeah. It was like.
yeah. If I don't have it with me, but it basically says, I think we had a copy of it up here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so you basically did something like this. We just made a copy of it as an example. So this is a business called Pop Churros. This business is an active business. It does not have an actual website. So you actually made a website for your buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And on the same token, that business does offer online ordering. So when someone jumps on this page, they can actually order online, their churros. And this website, if you look at it, you don't know is a real estate branded site. You just know, hey, this is actually about a business. You can order, you can look at the menu, but I do see Matt, you're popping up, right? If I scroll all the way down and I want to know, who made this awesome site, well, I can scroll down further and I'm going to see your brand, Matt Nguyen, but you're bolded in as the local business ambassador.
Yep.
See, so you're not coming in as a realtor trying to sell business. You're coming in as, look, I'm trying to help this business out. I'm doing everything I can. This is all value. But as a business owner, they see you. When this COVID-19 blows over, they're going to remember everybody who helped them. You're
Correct.
one of them. So as you build out your connections, other business owners are going to see this. They're going to want to know, hey, Matt, can you do the same thing you did for Pop Churros? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
To you, it doesn't cost you anything, right?
Right.
But to the consumers, they think, well, you spent some money putting this together. Did it cost you anything, right? So that's all value right there. So I think this is one of those strategies I think agents can really tackle right now, especially with the pandemic happening. Instead of trying to think about the ROI, how do I get leads? It's like, how do you maintain your relationships now? How do you build it stronger? How do you add that value?
Yep.
And I'm hearing from other top producers, like they will make videos about going on a, like a supply run and asking
Yeah.
people, what do you guys need? And then they'll get people commenting, hey, get me, I don't know, toilet paper or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But they'll get business out of it, believe it or not. They'll say, I'm actually not needing anything, but I have a friend that needs help selling the house. Like, that's a real story I've heard from someone just doing a post about getting some supplies for the community. So
Yep. It's all about creating content, and especially with what people are saying, right? We're in a social media world now where I don't know how long this is going to last, right? But we have to be really good at this, creating content, multiple ways of creating layers. That's a strategy.
yes, absolutely. So that's what I have. So hopefully those are good
Yeah.
tips. And I really hope that agents really take this and really think about
Correct.
that strategy, because the way I see it and the way media portrays it,
Yep.
they're gunning for the agents, right? They're gunning for your commissions. They're gunning to get rid of all of that. So when you think about like how Zillow leads, from what I'm hearing, their leads are being degraded over time. They're being that. I mean, this is why Zillow is like getting into the real estate market and buying properties. Like, they're trying to figure out. They don't admit this, but if you just put two to two together, they're trying to find ways to get rid of the commission piece of it. So as an agent, you're trying to, how do I protect my business well, you got to own everything. So those
Mm-hmm.
photos you take, you got to own it. And when you deliver, when you
Mm-hmm.
bring those visitors somewhere, you better make sure no one else takes your leads. Like those
Yep.
engagements got to be all yours.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Cool. That's a lot of stuff, man. But I hope this is very, very useful. And I hope a lot of people could get some insight. Obviously, there's a lot, right? So you can't always pick on everything, but just pick on the top three and attack.
And do it. And
Yep.
consistency. That's the biggest
Yep.
thing is you can do anything you want, but if you're not consistent, it won't work.
Yep. Yep. Well, cool. Hey, thank you so much for spending the day with me. Hope you have a good night. And definitely we're going to do another session and when we go deeper into more content.
Yeah,
All
let's do
right.
it, Matt.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you so.
All right,
All right.
brother.
See you, man. Bye-bye.